All right, now we deal with partial fractions. This is something that will come up in the second part of calculus next year when we do integration, and it's really just kind of working through some algebra type stuff. So on this one, for 5 and 7, we're just trying to find the form. So in other words, factor this out, which will give us x times x minus 14. And we're saying that this fraction is the same as something over x plus something over x minus 14. It's the kind of decomposition of that as we go. And that's all you had to write for number 5. For number 7, we can pull an x squared out of there. We'll have x minus 10 left. And so again, when we have a factor that gets repeated like this squared here, we need to have one fraction as the single and one fraction as the double. So you have to list it twice if it gets repeated like that. And then we have to have something for the x minus 10. So we're decomposing that. We don't need to solve it or anything. We're going to do that right down here. That's the start of it. So 15, we're going to actually do some solving on this. So we got x plus 1, x minus 1. And therefore, we're going to have something over x plus 1 plus something over x minus 1. So we're saying that this fraction is the same as this right here. We just have to figure out what a and b are. The best thing to do now is to multiply everything by that common denominator. Multiply everything by x plus 1, x minus 1. So if you multiply over here by x plus 1, x minus 1, you're just going to have the top left over. You're going to have that 1 left over. If you multiply here, the x plus 1 will cancel, but the x minus 1 won't. So you'll have a times x minus 1. Same thing here. The x minus 1 will cancel, but not the x plus 1. All right, so we're right there. Now, you can go through and do this some kind of crazy ways, but I think the best thing to do is to say that this works for all x values. So let's throw some very convenient x values in, like say x equal 1. I put 1 in for x. This is still going to be 1, but 1 minus 1 will be 0, and the a then will go away. 1 plus 1 is 2, so we'll have 1 equals 2b. If you divide by 2, we get b equal to 1/2. Okay, we'll lock that in for a second. All right, and then we're going to pick a convenient one for here. How about negative 1? Negative 1. So that 1 equals negative 1 minus 1. That's a negative 2 times a. And negative 1 plus 1 is 0. That'll go away. All right, if you divide by negative 2, we get a equals negative 1/2. All right. Now, what we need to do is just, we're not quite done. We found these values. We got to plug them back into here. So we're saying negative 1/2 over x plus 1 plus 1/2 over x minus 1. This is the fractional decomposition. If you were to put these together with a common denominator, you would get right back to this original. Now, that again, that feels weird because this is pretty easy to look at. This is not as easy to look at. But what you'll see in the second part of calculus is we're not able to integrate this, but we are able to integrate that, and that's the reason that we're kind of decomposing these. All right. So for today, we're just learning some algebra tricks, but next year you'll see why we learn them. Here we have x times x minus 3. So that means this is equal to a over x plus b over x minus 3. We want to find what that a and b are. So we're going to multiply everything by this x minus 3, which cancels completely here, gives us just 3 equals a times x minus 3 plus b times x. Okay, let's be smart. We'll pick 3 to start with. So 3 equals 3 minus 3 is 0. That zeroes this out. So we'll have 3b. Divide by 3, we get b equal to 1. All right, we'll lock that in. The other smart one to pick would be 0. And we'll have 3 equals negative 3a and 0b. So that goes away. Divide, we'll have a equal to negative 1. Lock that in. All right, go back to the original. We have a over x plus b over x minus 3. That is the decomposition then. If you were to put this together, you would get what we had started with right up there. All right, let's try that again. X squared plus x minus 2 is x plus 2, x minus 1. So this is going to break into a over x plus 2 plus b over x minus 1. All right, so when we multiply everybody by that common denominator, we're going to get 3 equals a times x minus 1 plus b times x plus 2. Okay? Now, I'm going to pick x equal 1. It's going to give us 3 equals 0 plus 3 times b, so 3b. This is going to give us b equal to 1. Okay? Now let's put negative 2 in. So that'll give us 3 equals negative 3a, and then the b goes away, so a equals negative 1. Now these are just kind of coincidental that we keep getting this 1 and negative 1. So that doesn't always work out that way, but just in this particular case it did. All right, let's put those back in. A is negative 1, so negative 1 over x plus 2 plus 1 over x minus 1, and that's our decomposition for that. All right, and then we get 46 here. If I pull an x out, you're going to have x squared minus 1 left over, which can factor into x plus 1, x minus 1. All right, so that means we're going to have a fraction for the x, we're going to have a fraction for the x plus 1, we're going to have a fraction for the x minus 1. All right, so we're going to multiply everything by the x squared minus 1. What that's going to do is it's going to give us the top here, 3x squared minus 7x minus 2 equals a. Now the x will cancel, but not the x plus 1 and not the x minus 1. Those will stay. For the b, the x plus 1 will cancel, but not the x or the x minus 1. And for the c, the x minus 1 cancels, but not the x or the x plus 1. All right? So this is what we get when we multiply it by that common denominator. Now, let's be, again, smart here. Let's try x equals 0 to start with. And if you put that in here, 0, 0, negative 2, you'll get negative 2 equals a times 1 times negative 1, so a negative a, plus b times 0, that'll 0, plus c times 0, that'll 0. So we end up with negative 2 equals negative a, so a equals 2. All right, lock that in. Let's go with x equal 1 next. If I put 1 in here, 3 times 1 squared is 3, minus 7 times 1, that's negative 4, minus 2 is a negative 6. If I put 1 in here, 1 minus 1 will make that 0, 1 minus 1 will make that 0, but here it'll be c times 1 times 2, so that'll be 2c. So c is negative 3. Okay, we'll lock that in. Then we have x equal negative 1. If I put that in here, we'll get negative 1 squared, which is still 1. So this is 3 times 1, this is 3. Plus 7, that's 10, minus 2, that's 8. Equals negative 1 plus 1, that's 0. That zeroes out. That one will zero out. But b will go b times negative 1 times negative 2. That'll be a positive 2b. Which gives us b equal to 4. All right, we're almost there. Let's go ahead and put these back into the original. So 2 over the x plus 4 over the x plus 1, and then plus negative 3 over the x minus 1. If you wanted to make that a minus 3, it doesn't matter. But there's our decomposition of what we had before.